Welcome to In Her Voice. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am passionate about helping women live authentically by listening to their inner voice. Get ready to be inspired by women of all walks of life that have set aside their should-bes and not good enoughs and are standing in their true voice, the voice of wisdom that each and every one of us has inside. Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach and your host today as we dive into the amazing topic of money as our teacher. And I love talking about things that seem like they're not connected to your inner voice, like money, and showing just how connected they really are. It makes me so excited. And my guest today is Kimberly Lovell. She is just a wonderful, beautiful human. You guys are going to fall in love with her. And she had me on her podcast, and we'll put the link to that in the show notes. And I'm so excited to welcome her on In Her Voice to talk about how we can learn from our money stories and dive deeper into our own worthiness through that. Let me tell you a little bit about Kimberly. She is a transformational coach, trainer, and holistic business mentor with a 30-year background in transpersonal psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, healing, coaching, and training. An international medium, medical intuitive healer, certified science and master theta healing practitioner and instructor, she is a highly gifted, intuitive, and rapid mindset coach. The founder of the Wealthy Business Goddess Show and the Wealthy Business Goddess University, Kimberly's mission is to transform world consciousness, heal the unconscious split between money and spirituality by inspiring and empowering others to live a life of purpose, passion, and prosperity, thereby creating a heaven on earth for all. Kimberly works with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, healers, therapists, coaches, consultants, trainers, and spiritual entrepreneurs worldwide to help them step more purposefully into their leadership and spiritual mission to manifest the life and business of their dreams while transforming the world and making fabulous money. Can we talk about changing the world right now? You know that I talk about that all the time, and I believe that we all, each and every one of us, have the power to do that. And I love that this is part of Kimberly's mission. And that's why I wanted to have her on the show to talk to us about money, to talk to us about what money can teach us, and to share some really powerful tools for us to discover what our own limiting beliefs are around money. So sit back, relax. You guys are going to love this interview. Kimberly, I am so thrilled to have you on In Her Voice today. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, Kelly.
Yes, and I want to dive right in. So you help people figure out what money needs to teach them. One of the things that you believe is that money is our greatest teacher. And I thought maybe we would start there. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what can money teach us?
So for me, money is energy and money is love. And there's so much of our projection goes on to money, and we have so many beliefs about what money is. And what I see for a lot of people is that their beliefs around money and their feelings around money really sabotage them from being happy, being fulfilled, being able to create, the amazing businesses that they want to create, or just to be able to receive and to enjoy life to the fullest. So for me, money is our biggest teacher because it shows us a lot of our beliefs and our limitations about receiving. The beliefs that we sometimes have, not on a conscious level, but on an unconscious level. And a lot of those beliefs people aren't even aware of, right? So when I work with people around their money or around, growing their business or even around abundance and enjoying and living their life to the fullest, it's all about how much we can receive. Money shows us how much we're willing to receive. And our beliefs are the things that sabotage that. So we have beliefs from our ancestors, from past lives, if you believe in past lives, or collective unconscious, from this lifetime. And they really are stopping us from being all of who we are and allowing us to do and have all that we would like to do and have, and to get our gifts out in the world. I work a lot with entrepreneurs, and they're very, work with heart-centered people that are, would call themselves spiritual, and yet there's such a big split between like money and spirituality. So yeah, we've grown up with so many ideas, and we're just bombarded with messages around money, around being wealthy, how much we allow ourselves to have and to receive.
Yeah. So this idea of the split between money and spirituality is really interesting to me, especially as someone who teaches people how to connect with their inner voice. And I'm really interested in sort of the juxtaposition of that. Like, how does our inner voice come into play as we learn about money, as money teaches us what we believe in, what is holding us back?
I love it. It's a great question. So for me, I've been like 30 years working with spirit and working with my intuition, and as a therapist and a healer, as a coach, as a trainer. One of the biggest teachers for me has been money. And in order for me to be able to live my purpose more fully and to help more people, I've really had to look at, my beliefs around money. I worked for many years as a medium. I worked in the churches. I was doing it all for free. And, now I was struggling. I started off working as a therapist, charging, I think it was like £25 an hour, £25 an hour. I'm in the UK. And and so I found often that the clients that were coming to me had better lifestyles than I did. I was buying into this belief in lack and scarcity. Sometimes they would have stories that they didn't have much money, right? And I would buy into those stories, and then I realized that they had better lifestyles than I did. And it was all a question of choice and our priorities in life and what we valued. And so I began to see the value in what I was sharing with people and the transformation and the difference it made in their lives. And I began to value myself. And so, that was kind of that was my journey. And it's what I see with a lot of healers and therapists and coaches, that we're so much givers. We want to help people and support people and to heal people. And we would just give it all away for nothing because it's what we love to do. And on some level, it feels like it's wrong to charge for what we love to do, because we would just do it willingly because we enjoy it, right? So when I'm working with people, all that kind of stuff comes up, and then there's all the stuff on the different levels. Like our ancestors may have struggled; they might have had all kinds of beliefs around money. So sometimes, even now, because it's like we're always growing, and we go to another level, and then there's a block there, and then we move beyond that. But it's like we have these comfort zones. We have these like financial thermostats that are the unconscious control of how much money we can charge or how much money we can receive. And it might go a bit above that, or might be a little bit less, but it kind of stays around the same place. And if it does go up, then what I've noticed happen for a lot of people, including myself, is that, then all of a sudden there's a massive bill that comes in, or, it goes out just as quickly. Because on some level, on the unconscious level, it's like we're not comfortable with that amount of money. We can't hold on to it. We might have beliefs that we don't deserve it, or that it's not safe for us to be wealthy or to be rich or to have money. We might have beliefs that we're rubbish with money. That was one of mine, and I was for many years. So yeah, it's just fascinating.
So how do you begin to sort of dig out what these limiting beliefs are around money? Like, how do you discover that? What's the process?
Yeah, I just realized I went a bit off on a tangent then, didn't I?
No, that's okay. It's good.
Okay. So I just want to come back to the question that you asked me. It just popped into my head like I've just heard it suddenly. So about the voices that come up, you'll have to ask me the other question again in a minute. So the voices that come up, it's like sometimes our intuition is telling us to do one thing, and our unconscious beliefs around money or about, success, we've got beliefs around everything, right? And so our unconscious fears and beliefs and blocks come up, these feelings that make us feel really uncomfortable, and we put the brakes on ourselves, we sabotage ourselves, so we won't. So I'll give you an example. I spoke with somebody earlier on today around their business and their money flow, and I asked her what her rates were. She told me what her rates were, and then she said, but then sometimes I discount. And it was like £40 difference between her rates. And then she said, she used the word barter. Well, it's like, years ago we did barter and trade, and in a sense, money is a form of currency, and it's an exchange of energy. But she was, she said, I don't have any issues around money or selling. But then she told me that she was like bartering and charging £40 less because she was believing that people couldn't afford what she was offering, and she wasn't charging high-end rates or anything there, So it's really interesting how these beliefs, no matter what we think on a conscious level, they can be in complete opposition to our conscious mind is saying, yes, I want to do this, and the unconscious is like going, no, you can't do that.
Right. And so the challenge then is how to become consciously aware of those unconscious beliefs and start to change them, right?
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
So, there's various ways to do this. I think one of the ways that people realize that they've got issues in an area is that things aren't how they want them to be. Yeah. Right? So there's this kind of our vision and what we would like to create and manifest in the world, and then what's actually showing up. So if there's a big gap or even a little gap, the gap is one of two things. It's either you've got unconscious beliefs and blocks that are, sabotaging, and it can be a combination of this, or it may be like a time thing, or it could be, there's practical things that you need to do. So I see, as a business coach, I have sometimes people that have mindset stuff going on, and sometimes it's a case of, their mindset's in the right place, but they need to learn some strategies. They need to learn how to market their business or what is it they need to do to be visible, etc. Mm-hmm. So it's that combination. But either that, so there's this gap that's going on, and you notice this gap, like, here's how it is, but what I really want is this, yeah? Or for people that journal, it may be that when you're journaling or when you're in meditation, you are shown that, that there are these areas that need to be looked at. You might have issues with clients. You might have issues with your income, as in that you've got, more months at the end of the income. And that
that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. I was like, did I get that right? I think it was. So, so it's like juggling balls, robbing Peter to pay Paul, putting things on the credit card. And then, it's like, if you're concerned around money, then there's something going on. That's the sure thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can sort of look to the warning signs, if you will.
Yeah. And how do you feel around other people that, like what they spend their money on, or, how much money they appear to have? Mm-hmm. When you go out for a meal, are you the person who's saying, oh, I'll pay? Or are you the person who's like trying to figure out how much and kind of sort it out? Do you get like triggered around money when if you want to buy something? Do you like have to think about it for a long time before you can say yeah?
Yeah, and I just want to say to all of you who are listening, you may think, well, what does money have to do with your inner voice? What does money have to do with living an authentic life? What does money have to do with being worthy and owning a business? And I really think that it's about tapping in to another source of power. As women, if we are earning money, if we are creating income, if we are spending that money in the way that women do, which by the way is different than how men spend money, we are essentially changing our world. And that's why I feel it's important to talk about this. And that's why I wanted Kimberly to come on and share with us some of these concepts. So to that point, you have a really super cool tool that you use to help people start to understand what their beliefs are around money and how to use their strengths and their weaknesses to help them. And that is called the Sacred Money Archetypes. Can you tell us what that is?
Sure, yeah. And so the archetypes are kind of like an energy that we hold within our unconscious mind. So everybody will know what the mother archetype is. Archetypes are kind of like an energy that represents and has meaning for us. So we all know the mother archetype, the father archetype, the child. We could have like a magical child, or we could have a wounded child. The sacred money archetypes are based on Carl Jung's philosophy. He really made the archetypes popular. And they help us to understand our attitudes and our behaviors and our thoughts and feelings and to an extent our beliefs and how we're operating in the world. And I loved what you said just now, Kelly, about, money and what's it got to do with business and us women. For me, how we do money is how we do everything. So when I look at people's sacred money archetypes and I look at how they do money, I know that that's also, showing up in their relationships. It's also showing up, in their business. It's showing up with their money. It shows up everywhere, So it's like, we'll talk about some of your archetypes because you did the quiz. So I expect you're dying to hear because you haven't heard what they mean yet.
Yeah.
So there are various archetypes that we work with in the system, and you take a quiz. It's really simple. You take a quick quiz and you figure out your top 3 archetypes and your lowest archetype. So the top 3, and then the shadow is the lowest one. Often it's the shadow that needs the most healing, and the idea is to align these archetypes. I'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea in terms of I'll share kind of like a story around my archetypes, and then we'll dive into yours. So for me, when I started working with the archetypes, I realized that there was a part of me that was, like really wanting to play big and to show up in the world and to do all these amazing things and work with lots of people. And I'd done that to an extent because I was doing it all for free. So when it came in my business, it was kind of slightly different story. And when I kind of got involved with the archetypes more, because I've been kind of working with them, I was a hypnotherapist and hypnotherapy trainer, so I've always worked with the archetypes. But the money archetypes, when I started working with this system, I realized that, in terms of my soul's purpose and my mission and how I was operating my business, the archetype, my lowest one, was the connector, which is your highest one. So isn't that really funny?
That is funny.
Yeah. So mine was the connector, and the connector is all about your inner relationship creator. So the sacred money contract, each of these archetypes have their own sacred money contract. So for you, Kelly, the connector is about to connect with others, is to connect with money. So of course, your podcast is an amazing way to connect with other people, right?
Right.
And to connect to those people with other people. So that's amazing. For me, it was my lowest one, right? I really don't like small talk. I'm great at speaking. I love speaking to lots of people, not a problem with that. I didn't really like doing things like networking. When you turn up at the old type of networking meetings, and like often then lots of people would be in suits and I'd feel like I was the odd one out. And I didn't know how to break into conversation with people and do small talk with people, especially when they were kind of like paired up and talking with someone. I felt like they all knew one another and I didn't know anyone. And so that was really challenging for me. And when I started working with the archetypes, what I realized was if I worked with the connector archetype, and what I did was I networked with people online, and I began speaking on telesummits, and I began speaking on radio shows and podcasts, and I've got my own podcast, and that took my business global. And I was then working with clients all over the world. So that was a huge shift for me. Yeah, working with that connector archetype, and I have to say that would have been responsible for probably tripling my business income, because it didn't. Yeah, I mean, in before, my business was very much face to face. It's a face to face transpersonal psychotherapist. I had psychotherapy practice, and I also had hypnotherapy training school. So it was all face to face, and I completely transformed my business about 5 years ago, and took it all pretty much online. I still train and do some teaching that's face to face, but otherwise my client work is all, other than my VIP days, they're all online and all via Skype. So I'm working with people all over the world. So,
and you really feel that is because you tapped into that lowest archetype that maybe you needed to heal.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, there were some other things in there that, there's some other archetypes. I've got a ruler archetype, and there's two systems I work with. One is the sacred money archetype. The other one's the branding with archetypes. So they both work with archetypes. There's a slight difference between the two systems, how they apply, and different archetypes that are in them. But yeah, with my business model, my ruler archetype, I didn't have high-end programs and services, so people could only work with me by doing kind of like, individual sessions. And then I realized as I began working with the archetypes that I couldn't give everybody, because I always wanted to give people as much as I could, right? And I'm sure there'll be lots of women listening to this that can relate. But it was kind of like, almost like this, what's the word I want? Like I was compelled to give as much as I can. Like I had to kind of prove my worth or my value, and it was, and I was like, I wanted to give more. And, so at that hour, often I go over time with people. And then I realized actually, I could just like do another session with them or do a few sessions with them.
Yeah.
And then, as a business coach, I know it takes time for people to grow their business. So I have programs where people can work with me over 3 months or 6 months or or they can do a VIP day. So I worked with the ruler archetype, and I had to look at some of my other archetypes to realize that I didn't have to give it all away for free, that I didn't have to give it all at once, that I didn't have anything to prove. And it was because, some of the, it was a lot of the money beliefs that were coming up. Mm-hmm. When I'm working in that way and I'm working over 6 months, obviously I'm charging more money, and it's on an unconscious level, these kind of beliefs were coming up, because like, I love what I do. It's kind of like, I haven't charged that much before, and so it was just like completely different. So it's all really, really interesting to experience. And I've seen so many changes through working with the archetypes and clearing the beliefs. So I want to talk a little bit about the connector for you, because the connector, sometimes people have some of these, sometimes they might have all of them or none of them, or it was like, maybe this was you kind of like a while ago, or So the sacred money gifts for the connector are that they don't generally tend to stress around money. They're quite optimistic. They don't kind of feel like they have to keep up with other people, that kind of thing. The challenges can be that they may lack financial independence. They may not feel empowered around money, or they might be overwhelmed with basic financial details. That was me hugely. I was really rubbish with my tax returns, and I can't stand doing them now. I've got someone else to do them for me. But yeah, I don't know if that relates to you, or you can kind of connect with that.
Oh yeah, I feel like especially the strengths part.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would call them that, because I see them also as weaknesses.
Right? They're both, right?
Yeah. I've been working, it's interesting that I've been doing a lot of work this year on my own beliefs around money and wealth and abundance. And I've come to see this about myself, that I am very trusting. Like, I'm just like, it will be provided and it will come. And that's sort of my MO. And I realized that, as beautiful as that is to live in that place, that I can't ignore the other steps that I need to take to create that wealth for myself and really take action in that, and to believe that it will come to me through my own action. I think that was the difference. Is before I just thought it will just come somehow. And now I know that it's going to come, and it's going to come through what I'm doing when I'm following what my inner voice is asking me to do.
I love that. Yeah. And that, I think there's so many women that are, especially, that probably are listening to this. And you're right, it is a gift to have that faith and that optimism and like that belief that the universe supports us, the universe has our back, and it's true. And it's true when we believe it to be true, right? That's the thing. It's like, if we don't believe that's true, then we will create that as if the universe doesn't have our back, and we'll go into all kinds of drama and trauma around that. And then, yes, it does have our back, and we're here to implement and to do things. We're here to be, and like, who are we being? What are we here to contribute in the world? As entrepreneurs, we're contributing through our business services and our products and programs and sessions with people. And so we have to do something, like we have to do something in order to market them, right? It's like, people don't know who you are unless you put yourself out there and you make an offer and you say hello.
Right.
So, yeah. And there's, like, spirit are just so amazing and so supportive, right? And, but often the really, like the real practical grounded things, it's like, if you ever ask your guidance for like when something's going to happen, often we could be good at receiving kind of like general guidance and direction, but the nitty-gritty specifics and like when, my experience of that, and like, I used to do a lot of clairvoyant readings for people. People would always want to know when, like, when's it going to happen? When am I going to meet the man, or when's this going to happen? And it's like, well, when are you going to make it happen? When are you going to actually choose it? When are you going to do it, be it? And when are you going to say yes to having it?
I love that. I love this. When are you going to choose it? It's up to us. It's up to us. And that's so empowering, because I feel that so often we're just sitting around waiting for things to happen. And we have the power to choose that. When are we going to choose? Oh, so good. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting. And sometimes people think that they're choosing because, like, they say that they want it so much. But it's like, if you want, in order to be something, in order to have something, you need to be something, and you need to do something. You need to be an energetic match for the vibration of what it is that you desire. Yeah?
Right. So it's almost like the question becomes, what does choosing look like?
Yeah. Who do I need to be to experience that? What do I need to choose? What choices can I make here? Let's talk about, sometimes, let's talk about the money. It takes money to grow your business, right? And then sometimes when we're investing in our business, our unconscious fears will come up, our beliefs around money will come up, and we're like, oh no, I can't do that. Like, how am I going to get a return on investment? Or, I don't think I'm earning enough at the moment to do that. And if those are the beliefs that we have, then that's the place where we stick ourselves, where we stop and we say, no, I can't receive that. Because it's like, we are believing that we are who we are in this moment. Like, we're believing in our stories, up until this point. And we're more than our stories, and more than our beliefs, more than our feelings. So when we're feeling this lack, that we can't afford it, or not sure whether, I can do that, and we kind of like, no, it's not because I don't want to, it's about the money, or, then it's like, well, we keep ourselves small. We hold back. It's like the whole visibility thing. What you're doing is helping people to be more visible in the world through speaking their voice and their truth. So often we have these fears about speaking our truth. And and they pop up as well around money, right?
Yeah.
Around being able to ask for the money. It's like we can be amazing at what we do, and when it comes to somebody asking you how much, it's like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And, I want to go back to what you said about we are more than our stories, even in this moment, because what I heard you say is that where we are currently, like in this moment, is what up to this point we've been believing and creating. And so if we keep ourselves stuck in quote unquote reality, as my husband is a realist, he always says to me, "You're not realistic." But if we keep ourselves stuck in reality, in believing that this is where we have to base our story on, then we're not looking forward into what we are creating or what we could be creating. Is that what you're saying with that?
Yeah, totally. It's like we're movie writers, right? And so the movie of our life is the current story that's playing out. And I love that you use that word reality, because often that comes out with people, like trusting their inner voice and their intuition that's telling them to go for it. And then like the ego comes up, the unconscious fears or your ancestors' fears even, like, oh no, don't do it, that's too much. Or, if you do that and you fail, what will happen? So it's like there are these different voices within us. And the archetypes are these different voices as well, so it's like the alchemist, which is another one of yours, Kelly. The alchemist is your inner idealist. So yeah, I've got alchemist in mind as well. So, the idealist is great at dreams and ideas. They can see the possibilities, which is an amazing gift. They're great at valuing other people. There can be challenges about being practical. And particularly with money goals and habits, right? It's like, we've got all these amazing ideas and we want to do them all. And of course, that's not practical for a start. I learned that a lot of the ideas that I have are not for me, they're for my clients, and I can charge them for that.
There you go.
I can download their business ideas for them. So the alchemist is amazing mind, amazing visionary. Their contract is to transform ideas into financial success. So each of these archetypes can make money, but they do it in a different way, right?
Interesting.
So the alchemist often has got this like love-hate relationship with money. And maybe like this insecurity around how to create the income. And they find it easier to empower other people to believe in themselves. But they're really good at attracting money in unusual ways,
I'm laughing because this is so me.
Yeah.
Like all of those things, yes.
And what's really interesting in relationships is that, our partners have very different archetypes. So it's really interesting to get your partner to do this as well. And you realize, often people have a lot of arguments around money. And it's just that we have different beliefs and different value systems. So the archetypes also point to our value systems, which can be, really useful as well in our business. So alchemists often believe that there's an unfair balance of wealth in the world. And if we believe that, then obviously we were buying into our clients' stories sometimes, rather than holding them as powerful and not buying into their current story. We might get sucked into that, and then we might, not make an offer to work with them because we think that they can't afford it. Maybe they've told us they've got no money. It's really interesting often that we say we've got no money, but then we find the money for some things, right? And I used to buy into people's stories, and then I remember saying to somebody, they said they didn't have any money, and I was kind of like, okay. And they were asking me about my 6-month program, which is a high-end program, and a lot of intensive work with me. And so I said, well, here's the deal, and then she called me back and she said, yeah, I want to do the program. And I was like, oh my God, I nearly didn't offer that to her. I nearly just said, well, maybe we should do a few sessions, because I was buying into her story. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so as coaches or entrepreneurs, we want to be holding our clients as powerful and not kind of buying into that. But sometimes it's just an area, it's like an excuse. So we can often use money. We can use that excuse, like I can't afford it, or, I haven't got enough money right now. Just as a way, not because we haven't got much money because we don't believe enough in ourselves. Or because we're scared that we're going to fail, all those kind of beliefs. So the alchemist is a great visionary. And then you've got the romantic. So the romantic is the inner hedonist. They're the pleasure seeker, right? So the sacred money gifts for the romantic are that they always believe that there will be more. They're very generous with others, and they love to support the economy, which means often that they like to spend. So for all of you big spenders out there, don't worry, you're supporting the economy. And remember to support yourself.
Yeah. Well, so this quiz is such an interesting tool.
Yeah.
And you have made this available to everyone, right?
Yeah.
So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. So head on over to kellycovert.com/podcast, or just click on the podcast tab and you can go to the show notes page for this episode and get this tool so you can start to understand your own archetypes, understand the strengths and the weaknesses of those and how to heal them. So Kimberly, why don't you let everyone know where they can connect with you online?
Okay. Before I do that, can I just share, we've kind of talked about the archetypes. I just want to share a little bit about the beliefs and how quickly they can be transformed, because lots of people,
go for it.
And I kind of want to just do some energy healing downloads for people so you can kind of have an experience of what that feels like and how easily it can be done to transform your money beliefs. So lots of times we have oaths and vows and contracts around money. So you may have taken a vow of poverty. So the work that I do is about actually clearing the energy and clearing the beliefs. So I'm going to just do a few downloads so that people that are listening will kind of be able to kind of link in with this and just have an experience of this. So you may feel something, you may not, that's fine. So for any of you that have vows of poverty, have beliefs that it's not safe to be wealthy, it's not safe to be abundant, that you have to work hard for money. I mean, there's different beliefs in there, but let's just pull any oaths, vows, promises, agreements, or contracts that you have that say that you have to be poor, that you're not worthy and deserving of being abundant, that there isn't enough to go around, and that you vow to be poor. Okay? There's this kind of energy that I'm feeling into as I'm talking about. It's better to be poor and spiritual than to be rich. Like being rich or being wealthy means that you don't care, right? So everything that is, can we clear that for you and just teach you how and what it feels like, that it's safe for you to have abundance, to receive money, and to receive money for doing what you love to do, that you don't have to work hard, that you don't have to prove your worth. So if you'd like these downloads, then you just say yes to yourself and just, you can maybe feel that energy shifting within you. I actually teach people a process to muscle test. So we muscle test to find the unconscious beliefs. I do the healing and the clearing, and then we'll test again to find that the beliefs have been cleared. And when I'm working in this way with a group of people, I'm kind of working blind, so you're not testing what beliefs you've got, and we don't dive all into it. But, one-to-one, we will look and see is it held on the ancestral level or past life level, and we'll go into it and we'll clear it all. But what I found is working with people in this way, even with groups, that 50% of the people that I work with when I was doing face-to-face demonstrations, 50% of people will stand up and they'll muscle test that, there's not enough to go around, that that they've taken a vow of poverty. So it's so amazing how much we have, in our unconscious around this. So hopefully you will start, those of you that have been listening will have received some shifts through some of this healing. And you can check on the website and find some videos on how to muscle test and even lists of beliefs that you can muscle test. But yeah. So your question was where people go to find out? Is that what you're saying?
Where can we access these videos and all this wonderful stuff you're talking about?
So, sure. So you can go to my website, which is www.kimberlylovell.com. That's my main website. You can find a lot of information there. You can also find me on, have a podcast, The Wealthy Business Goddess Show. You can find me on YouTube under Kimberly Lovell. lots of my interviews and energy healings are on there. Or you can find me on Facebook, either on my business page or in my Wealthy Business Goddess tribe. So
Wonderful.
I'm here, there, and everywhere nowadays. Now I've healed my connector.
And we'll put links to all of that on the show notes page. So if you guys can't remember all that, just go to kellycovert.com and you will, be connected right there with Kimberly. And so, Kimberly, I have one last question for you that I ask all of my guests. And that is, in your life right now, what is your inner voice asking you or telling you?
First thing that came into my head was reach out. Reach out. And it feels like that's part of the message for everyone as well. So often we isolate ourselves, we hold ourselves back. And actually we're amazing beings. We've all got so much to offer, so much to give, so much to share, and we can also receive. So, it's like that connector, right? Which is your top one and has been my lowest one. It's like connect. We're here to connect with one another and to share and to love and to grow and to have fun together, right? So reach out and see, who do you need to reach out to? Who do you need to talk to? Who do you need to forgive? Who could you collaborate with? We don't have to be alone. Reach out is my message.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for being on In Her Voice, for coming here and sharing this with us, because this is more, to me, I feel like I've learned a lot about money today, but I've learned so much too about honoring my worth and tapping into my worthiness. And this goes so much deeper than that. And I think that's exactly what you meant by money is our greatest teacher.
Yeah.
So I just want to honor you for being so generous with us today. I just feel your giving and your abundance and your willingness to share that with us all. And I'm so grateful for you. So thank you.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
You're welcome. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah, lots of love, everyone.
Isn't she just so cool? I just love her, like her energy. There's just something so generous about her spirit. I know that that's what I acknowledged her for when I was interviewing. And I just really feel like she was giving us so much today. And I'm so thankful for that. I love this idea of how where we're living right now, our reality right now, is what we've been creating up to this point. And so if we base what we're creating in the future on where we are now, we're kind of gonna just stay where we are now. And so that's really exciting to me. And I think that that's something that we can apply much further than money and abundance, right? We can apply that in so many areas of our belief system and of who we are and of what we deserve and of what we're bringing into this world. And I just would encourage all of you to take a deeper dive into these concepts that we talked about, go even beyond money and see how they apply to your life and see what can actually be possible for you when you start to shed the beliefs that hold you back. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this. I hope that you head on over to the link and take the quiz. It's super easy. And I think it's just so interesting. I really feel like you'll get a lot out of it. So as always, I want to say to all of you, each and every one of you that are listening, you are amazing. Do you even know how amazing you are? Because I see that. I see you. I see all of the gifts that you've been given. I see all of the ways that you do things that no one else can do them like you. And I'm so filled with gratitude that you are here, that you are on this earth using those gifts, being you, because you are worthy.